Hello, welcome back to another episode of Leaders in Conversation with Nolo Thobejane as your host. I'm not alone as usual. I am with Nolo Thobejane. She is the group or the Chief People Officer at KFC Yum Africa. She is going to talk to us about her career journey, her humble beginnings, and the impact that she is making and contributing in the space and the fraternity of human resources and leadership.
Leaders in Conversation with Nolo Thobejane.
And welcome, Nolo.
Thank you so much, Norma. I feel very honored and privileged to be part of this conversation. I must say, ever since I got the invite, I couldn't wait to have the conversation with you. And having kind of listened to the previous podcast. So thank you. Thank you for the platform, and thank you for inviting women like me and those that came before me to have the conversations that we have.
I'm so happy that we could be the platform to give you in order to reflect on your journey.
Yeah, thank you.
You grew up in Hammanskraal. Humble beginnings.
Yes.
I can call it Dusty Street, Windy Streets, or
Dusty.
whatever.
Still is.
Still is.
So
right?
Tell
us about that.
I grew up in Hammanskraal. I always actually, when I have conversations about who I am, I call myself a girl from Hammanskraal. We actually started as a team member. So that's the story that we'll talk about later on. I grew up in Hammanskraal. I am a middle child. I've got two sisters. So grew up in a household where there were only girls. We only had my dad as a male figure in the house. But I must say, I grew up in a very humble, loving family. And born and bred. So I went to school in Hammanskraal. I did my junior studies or schooling in Hammanskraal until my breakthrough going into varsity. And I guess the story started there.
Before we get to that, how was it growing up as a middle child and amongst girls? And what lessons and values did that teach you?
Sure. That's a very good question, Norma. I wouldn't say consciously that it was a girl kind of, will I say, community or upbringing as such. I think what makes it different was my dad. What I took away from how we grew up was that we grew up with so much love and an understanding around the fact that there isn't anything that a girl cannot do.
Wow.
I think that was big for me. And which was quite interesting when I grew and I became, when I started in the corporate world, because it was very difficult for people to understand that I was never
a people pleaser or yes,
I 100%.
Yes.
I never saw a male figure as somebody superior or intimidating, if you know what I mean. Because, like I'm saying, my dad always looked at us as
people,
beautiful people. Yes, middle child syndrome for sure. I had my big sis who obviously,
deputy parent.
Not actually that, and I think my parents were very proud of having a child. Obviously, that's a firstborn who then went to varsity, who they were very proud of, and then I come along and it's like, okay, same old. This is what we know.
Yes.
And then you have the last one who's always the last one. But I didn't grow up in an environment where I actually felt like I'm the middle child.
You were a middle child, yeah.
I have I have the utmost respect for my dad, I must say, and God bless his soul. I so wish you could see what we've become
of his labor.
How those girls that he brought up to be strong, confident and independent girls. And I think if you're saying what was the learning in terms of being in a house of all girls, that really made a difference. And I think it shaped who I am. It really did.
So growing up in Hammanskraal and understanding that we've got inequalities that you might have experienced. And I can imagine in our era, you know, in the olden days where we were in apartheid regime, etc., we could see what was happening in South Africa in terms of the socio-economic and political landscape. What would you say were the lessons that made you who you are from growing up in the location?
Sure. It's two things for me. So one, very positive in terms of, you know, helping us to be strong people as we are. I believe that we are, and it's a result of where we're coming from. But in an opportunistic or a negative side of it is how you kind of, because of how we grew up, when you get into spaces that you are not comfortable around, how you second guess yourself. And if you're not careful, which is something that happened in my career, by the way, if you're not careful, that can hold you back. So that's two parts. But then let's focus on what I think has really helped me. Blossomed me from the environment that you're talking about. Again, I'm going to take it back to my dad, right? I mean, I grew up in an environment of very hardworking parents. Humble beginnings, like we're saying, not so well off, but
could afford the basics.
Could afford the basics, and they worked very hard. And I always say, I think that's where I got my work ethic from. I mean, I know my dad woke up at 3 o'clock. I mean, I know that, right? And could only come back around 8 o'clock. After dinner, you know, it's very rare that we would have dinner with him. But we were aware, and he always made us aware that it had to happen.
So it was a household of communication.
100%. So we understood why they did the things that they did. And again, it helped us to actually work harder to make sure that we make them proud. By then, I guess it was about making our parents proud. But you look back now with our kids as well, it's not about that actually. It's about the principles and the values that they've instilled in us to make sure that we, one, make a difference in the spaces that we are in. But secondly, paving the way forward for those that are coming behind us so that they don't experience the upbringing and the inequalities that we have experienced.
And so, I can say that we've done exceptionally well.
I'm going to say thank you.
Thank you. And you then matriculate, enthusiastic, driven, positive, from a good background. Your sister has already crafted a path, you know, for you guys to follow as an exemplary elder in the family, and off you are to the university. What made you study library and information technology, if I can call it like that?
Oh no, I want to make you laugh. So that was the shortest queue. That's how I landed there.
Wow.
But again, it's the inequalities that we spoke about. I did not have a career career guidance at high school. So I knew I had to pass. I knew I wanted to move out of the township. I knew I wanted to make a difference. I knew. I've always known. But look, I don't know what information science was. I don't know what. So I had points that at least I knew. I knew I've made it into the University of Pretoria, and the queues are long. And I kind of went, oh, okay, which one? Picky. And then I went. Honestly, that's exactly what happened.
Did you enjoy it though?
Look, I think.
You are a person that, if I started, I will finish it.
I will finish and I make it work. And it was quite an experience. Remember, this was my first time out of the township. This was my first time in a multiracial environment. So there were a lot of firsts. A lot of firsts in terms of, I am actually independent. I'm on my own. There's no mom and dad. There are things that I need to achieve. There's goals that I need to achieve. And to tell you the honest truth, what the degree was all about was not even a factor at that time. Actually, it has never been a factor in my life. Because what happened is I then joined one of the QSR
organizations,
100% as a part-timer, and I've never looked back. And that's how I landed in the QSR environment. So studies have really helped me to focus, to adapt, to learn.
And it gives you the grounding and 100%. Basic, skills that are needed in corporate. I mean, I can imagine if you just had matric, you went and worked as a team member, at the QSR organization? And then what are your chances of promotions? What are your chances of you
100%, Noma.
applying some of the skills that you have taught? So
And apply
nothing is by
yourself.
coincident, right?
And applying yourself.
And applying
Nothing
yourself.
is about coincidence, and I believe in
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I walked the hateful streets, man. I remember I worked part-time on a Tuesday and a Thursday and a Saturday and a Sunday. I missed out. That was my first year, if you can imagine. I missed out on parties, or I would join parties
Very late.
smelling of oil, because I can't even
Yeah.
go to my place first. But those are the memories that I
Have of
hold very
university.
dear, because that's when I started this journey, and that's when I actually realized the kind of person that I am. Like you're saying, I see things too. I work very hard. Again, the values and principles that I actually picked up from where
home.
I'm coming from and from home. And those were actually amazing years, because that's when I learned to be an operator. Look, I have ketchup in my blood. I have no doubt about it. Like I say, I started from the bottom up. That's where actually my happiness or my joy is.
Comes
If I
from.
see myself in stores with team members, it takes me back there. So I've learned a lot. That's when I actually, my strong foundation from a
Solidified.
skills point of view came from. So yeah, those were my varsity years.
You are currently serving as a leadership team of KFC Yam Africa. You are the top 5 or top 6 in the organization, serving South Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. You started from the bottom. You are currently the Chief People Officer. Tell us about your journey. When did it all start, and how did you end up being the Chief People Officer?
Wow. Yeah, no, we don't have the whole day, because it's like
I
a
know.
long story. So I'm just gonna kind of summarize it and pick on things that I think are really important in terms of leadership journey, right? Like I said, I started as a team member, and that grounded me.
We need to break down team member, because our viewers and our listeners may not understand when you
What
say
is
team
team
member,
member
what are you
is?
talking about? Just give a practical example of what a team member, let's say at a KFC,
Yeah.
what is a team member?
It's a person who serves you in front. That beautiful, energetic person that serves you and makes sure that you get your order is a team member. The person at the back who makes sure that they cook the chicken to the standards that's supposed to be cooked.
That's a
is
team member.
The person who is actually at the back, hot the whole day, but loving what they're doing on a daily basis.
Is a team member.
That's a team member. So that's where I started.
And that's where you started.
And that's exactly where I started. As a
Wow.
part-timer, like I'm saying, they taught me everything that I had to know. I also was I guess I've always been a person who wanted to know more and who learns on a daily basis. I still do.
So you're a person a leader that believes in continuous learning and personal development.
100%, very curious as well. So I'll ask myself, why can't I do that? What's stopping me from doing that? And I get bored easily, I guess. So it challenges me to do new things and to find myself learning new things. And that's how I guess I grew in my career. So I started as a team member, and shortly before I graduated, I then became a shift supervisor. That's then your manager who looks after the floor.
Imagine you are still studying.
I'm still studying.
And you are already promoted.
I am.
I mean, it looks like your career was curated, but I mean, nothing is by chance.
Nothing is by
I think
chance.
God had a hand in it.
100%. And I think, if you actually went and did or the homework that you're talking about, I'm actually a very spiritual person. So I really believe it's a story that was curated, and it's a story that was curated to make a difference and for people to look up to, or those that are coming behind me to look up to, and that it's possible, because nobody is possible, So I became a manager, and I then became a store manager, and I then became an area manager, and I then moved into other retail brands, and I worked in 2 other brands. Bigger brands before I even started with KFC, which I think the best day of my life. The day I walked into that building, it's a day I'll never forget. I was highly pregnant with my well, it was before I was even pregnant when I started with my interview, and then at the latter part of our interview process, I was highly pregnant. And when I look at my daughter, It symbolizes the journey that I've had with KFC.
And how many years has that been now?
18 years.
18 years.
18 full years.
But it's not tiring for you.
No.
I mean, I meet you, I speak to you, I engage with you, but the level of enthusiasm, the level of leadership, curiosity, and the level of impact, it's still at a very peak.
And
it seems like you arrived yesterday.
You know, I always say to my daughter, 18, obviously doing grade 12, and we now having conversations around career, which started a while back as we were talking about choosing subjects and all that. And I've always say to her, you need to do something that really resonates with who you are. And I think my job resonates with who I am. It links up to my values and my purpose, I guess. You know, over the years when you grow, you kind of realize what is it that you're meant to be doing in this world. I'm one of those people who are curious enough to kind of continuously ask themselves, ask myself, but what is it that I'm supposed to do in this situation?
That's a very high level of self-awareness.
You know what I mean? And again, when you talk about self-awareness, if you ask me why I'm still with this organization, it's exactly because of how they've helped me to understand who I am, how they've helped me to understand what makes me tick. And that's why you see this enthusiasm on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation yesterday. I actually was interviewing somebody yesterday, and I said to them, look, I'm one of the few that actually tap dance to work. It doesn't feel like I'm working because I really enjoy what I do on a daily basis. So I think that really makes a difference when you really hit that sweet spot and you understand and you're passionate about what you do, because I am passionate about what I do.
Okay. So what are some of the lessons that you have learned from your early career struggles, and how have they influenced your leadership style and approach to things?
Well, I think we touched on it when we spoke about, you know, the inequalities and where we're coming from. And I spoke about the you know, what has actually helped us, and part of our strengths is that we work hard and nothing, you know, phases us. Like you make sure that you get it done. But I guess the other part that we seldom talk about is how that affects us in the boardroom. So when you, and I remember, you know, when I started in my journey, we'll work in a boardroom and there are conversations that are happening that you do not, or you're not exposed enough to kind of contribute. Immediately before you even start the meeting, you are on your back foot completely. And you remember, you go through that over and over and over again to an extent that it impacts your confidence, it impacts your ability of thinking that, you know, you're good enough.
Yes.
You know, and I think what I've learned is that I became very angry and did not let go. I was one of the people who would tell you I am where I am because I went to such and such school. And then I could have, if I really think about it now, I could have answered myself to say there are people who come from the same school
or even
who
worse.
have done so well, by the way, so can you get over it? So I think if I would say something to smaller Nolo, would have been, it was what it was. You know, take the strengths and the learnings that you got from your environment and run with them. And yes, you cannot ignore how you're feeling on what you've went through or what you currently going through in your current, you know, position. But you have to get to a point where you accept, you understand, and you move. You know, you move on. I think I stayed for a long time in that space, you know. But again,
so toxic to yourself.
Toxic to yourself, and like actually, you're the one who's like putting yourself down. But again, it was a learning, right? It's what has shaped me to be the leader that I am today.
That you are.
And be able to have the conversations with people when I see that happening, you know, or unfolding in their journey or in their careers. And I guess that's another thing about who I am, is the authentic conversations that I have with people. I'm human.
You're human.
I am from the dusty roads of Hammanskraal. We come from the same pool. So the conversations that, how you feeling, I felt, or I'm still feeling. So let's have the conversations around it. Something that I actually really love about what we've put together, and again, a brainchild of our current GM, Akona, is Women on the Move, which is a women empowerment program, the KFC women empowerment program.
Let's get into that.
Because again, it's about these conversations. It's about really understanding and saying to those women that are coming up, you know, as leaders, to say, let's have the conversations. You know, let's have the conversations around how you're feeling, or how do some situation make you feel, because guess what? Been there. And if you think I still do not feel like that sometimes in the boardroom, you got to be kidding, because I still do. But
And,
can
and,
I have
and,
somebody
and
to talk
it
to?
represents humanity, humility, authenticity.
Yeah.
It reminds me of saying, I'm human. I am not prone to the things that are happening around me.
Yep.
I have a feeling.
Yeah.
I can feel. I can cry. I can be sad.
I'm a mom.
I'm a mom.
I'm a wife.
I'm a wife. And I'm a colleague.
Yeah.
I'm a boss. I'm a subordinate.
Yeah.
So all these things
all have
are
our
all
roles.
encompasses,
We-
right? But what is it that you bring to the table, and what lessons can you take from them, and how do you then navigate it moving forward?
Because believe you me, there is no other Nolo. So in that room, what I bring, somebody else will not
never bring it.
So I need to just be original, because somebody else is taken, by the way. So, you know, I always say we are so different, but yet
The same.
similar.
Yeah.
right?
You are
So
right.
I guess for us, the women on the move, at least for me, because I was the first cohort. So I'm actually a product of that program. For
What
me-
did this program do? I mean, there are many organizations that are struggling, especially advocating and fostering for women empowerment in the boardrooms, in the organization as a whole. So what did that teach you? And how would you advise other organizations to implement similar programs?
Is to keep it real. So obviously, you know, we've handed the burden down to the upcoming leaders in the organization, so that running with the program, for sure still overseeing, because it's something very close, very close to Akwana to start with, and me and everybody else in the organization, and including our male counterparts in the organization. So it's an organizational drive, it's not just a woman drive. But I just want to say, I think for me,
I love that it's an organizational drive, right?
It's led
And
from
even
the
the men are
they are
included in
allies.
those programs.
They are
yes.
allies. They believe in it. They see the difference it's making and the impact that the women that coming from the program are having in the organization as a whole. And I think that is what makes Women on the Move so special. You know, the advocacy that we're getting from our colleagues is just so amazing, and globally as well, I must say. Because what has happened actually is, over years, last year we've just launched the global program called Shine, which is similar to exactly what we're doing here. So I mean, it's a testament to the good work that has been put
you
together
do.
here, right? And now, you know, taking it out into the world, which is quite amazing. But to answer your question, in terms of what is different about this one, like I'm saying, you need to keep it real. And that's the conversation I have with the guys that are now running the program, is to say, do not lose the main essence of the program. And for us, it's just to help people understand and discover their innate qualities. It's not giving you more tools. It's about from within. What are the key
Bring
things,
your strength,
your qualities that you have, and how do you then be confident enough and brave enough to actually, you know, demonstrate them in your leadership journey. And the fact that we're taking people that are not yet there, but they're still kind of figuring themselves out from a leadership point of view, I think for me, it's one of the things that makes it very special.
Unique and impactful.
But also, it's the kind of conversations that we have, right? Hence I'm saying, I think over the years, I've got a toolbox full of frameworks, full of, you know, tools that you can use and you can execute, and when you have this problem, this is what you do. For a change, the program is just about a safe and brave environment.
Safe and brave environment.
That's what it is all about. It's the kind of conversations that we have about how I felt yesterday when something happened.
And how I'm feeling today.
And how I'm feeling today. And what is it that I could have done differently? And what works for the next person? And for me, those authentic conversations are what makes the difference.
It seems like an emotional intelligence journey. It's like a journey to yourself.
You know, something
right?
that 100%, but Norma, something that we also pride ourselves in is that we believe in working on character to drive high performance. So we don't just go straight into this
high performance. Yes.
We're saying if we want people to be their best selves, which is part of our people promise.
Build character.
Build character. You spoke about self-actualization. It's exactly the journey that I've went in KFC. I don't know if I would be where I am if I was in another environment. They believed in what I brought to the organization, but
in
more
yourself.
so, they wanted me to know that I've got it. And to do that, it's just understanding your effective and ineffective behaviors and what will make you move to the next level. Not only next level in terms of career, but as a person. And I think for me, if a person does not understand who they are, do not know what is it that they're supposed to do to
They are
be effective,
unable to deliver.
They are unable to deliver.
And give the organization the results that they desire.
100%. And that's
Wow.
sustainability for me. Because look, we can go all hard and get results. But the question is, will we still be doing that in the next 10 years?
And who are the people that are producing the results? Are the people coming along to produce the results?
100%.
Or are they held ransom to produce the results?
And having the same language, talking the same language. I mean, if you walk into our office, you've been in our office, same language, right? Same expectations, very aligned. And I think a very, an environment that allows people to be their best self, that allows people to make a difference. But more than anything else, have fun while doing it.
Have fun while doing it and produce while you're having fun.
But I mean, the black and white doesn't lie.
I
right?
know.
I mean, you've seen our results in the past couple of years, and it's through our
and you've been
people.
growing
It's
substantially.
through our people and nothing else.
So how do you navigate the complexities of leading in sub-Saharan Africa, considering the diverse cultural and business landscape across different countries?
Well, it's such a question very close to my heart. As you know, one of the roles that I've had previously has been the head of sub-Saharan Africa. I've been very fortunate to kind of travel, in multiple countries in the continent. And we are in 23 countries. I've opened most of those countries.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. In the past couple of years, I mean, started...
And they told me you were a kicking,
well,
a good kicking
but that's
operations person and commercial person.
100%. Look, remember, our model is that of a franchisee franchisor, and our role is just to support our franchisees to ensure that they execute our brand to the standards, right? And we're very rigorous around that, for sure, and across the board. So it doesn't matter how complex it is, but our brand is that is relevant and that will be executed in a way that is expected to be executed. And lucky enough, we've got partners that agree with that. They come in really passionate about our brand as well. So that's not the difficulty part of it. But I guess when you talk about complexities and different cultures and different environment, that when you go into these countries, you go with that agility, which is something that we do very well.
Agility, yes,
and
love
you
that.
Adapt and adopt to what the environment requires. Remember, the key thing is our customers, and we really need to deliver to our customers' expectations, whether it's through a menu, whether it's how we show up. So we can show up as a global company, but we actually act locally. And that we've done very well across the sub-Saharan Africa. Not actually making sure that we always execute our brand to the standards that we have to execute to. So we will never kind of shortchange that at all.
In the heart of Africa's vibrant business landscape, there is a force driving change, innovation, and growth. Introducing Siana Group, a beacon of bespoke professional services, pioneering the future of business solutions and technology across the continent. At Siana Group, we are more than just consultants. We're partners in progress. Our ethos, people-centered, solutions-driven, and technology-inclined. With our cutting-edge AI-powered HR digital technology and a commitment to customer success, we empower organizations to unlock the unlimited potential of their people and optimize operational processes. In a rapidly evolving work landscape where talent is seeking control and new concepts like fractional talent are emerging, Siana Group stands ready to navigate the challenges and seize the opportunities. Rooted in sub-Saharan Africa with a strong presence across multiple countries including Kenya, Nigeria, Mozambique, and more, Siana Group is dedicated to driving superior business performance across the region. Join us in shaping the future of African business. Siana Group, empowering the future of African business.
So we spoke about the importance of continuous learning and personal development. After you've done your degree, undergrad, you then later studied at Gibbs and you did your MBA. I mean, MBA at Gibbs is not a child's play. I knocked at that door. I saw how the modules were looking, how the schedules were looking. I'm like, no, I think I need a flexible MBA which can accommodate me as a new mom, etc. What led you to that decision?
Before then, and it's another critical decision in my career, by the way. Before then, before I joined KFC, my previous life, I always say my previous chocolate factory, I then decided to do training and development because I knew then that I knew everything that I wanted to know from an ops point of view, and I wanted to be a holistic leader. And I went for a training job. And then I decided, okay, let me do training and development with UNISA.
And I must applaud, though, the organizations that gave you an opportunity, not only looking at your qualification and your experience, but giving an opportunity to say that you might have a certain line of qualification with your experience, but because you are curious, you can add value, we can open other doors for you. Because we still, organizations are still very, what's the word? Are still very narrow-minded when it comes to giving opportunities, and we call it cross-functional teams, where even as an HR person, I can work in marketing, or I can I can work anywhere. Or as an operations person, etc. So you still find organizations that are saying you do not meet the requirements because you don't have the qualification and you don't have the experience to support it. So I must applaud the organizations that really think out of the box. That's where the world of work is going to. We're going to skills-based organizations 100%. Now. We're no longer going to a certain qualification organization.
Yeah. Look, I agree with you. I really do agree with you. And part of the reason why I'm still with KFC is because they've afforded me those opportunities. Notwithstanding the fact that I've always been brave enough to say, okay, I'll go.
To ask, lift your hand.
But they have supported and they have really helped me to navigate my career in a way that will make me the leader that I am today. There was a time I would kind of ask myself, I've been here for a while, why am I not getting the following? I look back right now, Norma, as an executive after so many years, that this is the time, and all the roles that I've had were there to prepare me for one of the biggest roles, I think, with the responsibilities, looking after 30,000 team members and making sure that we're making a difference and we're impacting them in a way that they will feel like they belong with our brand.
And meeting the bottom line.
And meeting the bottom line at the same time. So I want to believe that if I didn't go through everything that I've went through and the time that I had, because that's one thing that you cannot buy, I would not be, I wouldn't be comfortable in the seat that I am now. But just about, we spoke about the continuous learning. So I did my training and development before the MBA. I'll get to the MBA. And then when I joined KFC, and again, KFC has always been about, and we're talking 18 years back, by the way. That's how special this business is, right? 18 years back, they interviewed an operator, but they offered an HR job. It was because of attitude and nothing else. And I must tell you, Nama, that's when I fell in love with them completely. Then realizing that, oh my God, I'm in HR. But again, we are in the business of people selling chicken and chips. Yeah. So it is still operational, but I really needed to understand from a lens of people. And by then I didn't know that actually that was my calling and something that I actually wanted to do, right? So I did my HR qualification with UJ and then continued in the path. But again, I never stopped to say, I'll do the following and I'll do the following. So
there was really no job that was big enough or small enough for you. And whether you could go up, down, parallel, it was still experience.
Most of the time it was lateral. It was. I mean, my career has always been zigzag, right? It was never about the position. It was never about the remuneration. It was not about the level. It was about the learning. And now I understand. Maybe then I didn't understand what I was doing.
Of course, you were young.
Obviously, but now I understand why the organization does that, right? To empower the leaders and make sure that we have multidisciplinary, cross-functional leaders. You've seen the moves that are happening right now. Congratulations to Tuka. Mr. T is now going into the US. Now we've got an opportunity of moving somebody within our LT to be the COO. And that's what we do, right? Now when we look at a leader, we look at a holistic
leader. Not a
functional
qualification,
leader.
a functional
No.
leader, a holistic,
No.
impactful leader.
100%. So I guess now, after my HR then realized I was still struggling with, am I good enough? I was still struggling with
Your
that.
challenging period, yeah.
And I think that was pivotal in my career, in a sense that, okay, nothing was big enough or small enough for me, let's try this one. And I remember it was through the organization, by the way. It was the first year that they were offering an executive program. Went for interviews with everybody else. Voila, Nolo gets it. Okay, you know what was the scary part? That you're given this opportunity, but you still have to go and write an aptitude test. Imagine coming back and saying, I didn't make it.
Make it, yeah.
Luckily, I've made it in. But the day I sat, my first class, when I sat on that desk and looked around.
I have goosebumps.
I
Because I can imagine how it felt.
Norma, I knew I deserved to be there. I knew that that girl from Hammanskraal
deserved this seat.
worked so hard to be here. And if somebody believed that I could do it, I had to believe myself that I could do it. And that was an unlock. That was a huge unlock. That's when I left behind the issues about inequalities and my education and me not being exposed. And, you know, my parents could have done better at the government. Left it. And you believe it or not, a conversation I had with my daughter yesterday. The minute you stop striving and it's all about achieving, you find peace. And that is the day that I found peace. So you can imagine I'm saying this to an 18-year-old. She has no clue what
you're talking about.
But
she'll remember.
I'm happy that I'm the person as a mom that can have that conversation then. I didn't have somebody to have that conversation. But our kids are going through that as we speak right now. And for me to be able to identify it because I went through it and I can have that conversation is a big thing. So that's what led me to do the
And
MBA.
change starts with conversations.
Yeah.
No change can be effected without a conversation.
So that's why I did my MBA.
So you mentioned character development and heart-led approach as a critical element of high performance. Can you elaborate on how these factors contribute to the positive and growth orientation in terms of the organizational culture, particularly at KFC?
So I guess, you know,
my thesis is around heart-led.
Is it?
And it was triggered by...
So Norma, I mean, I want to say my story talks to that heart-led organization, right? Really caring about their people and knowing that in order to engage,
For more from Leaders in Conversation with Nomazibulelo Changa, you can continue listening to the rest of this episode on your audio streaming service app. Our podcast is available on various audio streaming platforms. Details in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.